Hey, Bayside kids, Sven Svensson here. I'm going to tell you one of the most famous stories in the Bible. This is a story that Jesus told, and it's a parable. Parable is a story that lets us know what the kingdom of heaven is going to be like. So Jesus told three parables in a row. The first one was about a lost sheep. The second one was about a lost coin. And the third one was about a lost son. And that story was called The Prodigal Son. The word prodigal means somebody who spends a lot of money on stuff that they don't need. And so, here's how the story goes. But I want you to pay attention to two characters in the story. Pay attention to what the father does, and also pay attention to what the older brother does. These are really important parts of the story. Okay, here we go. This is called The Father Who Forgave. Once long ago and far away, there lived a wealthy man. He had two sons. He loved them both, as much as a father can. He hoped his boys would both obey the laws of God and man. He prayed that they would live their lives according to God's plan. The older said, "I'll do my best." The younger didn't bother. He said, "I hate to live at home." His words upset his father. This son came where the old man stood and stared him in the face. "Please give me half of all you own. I want to leave this place." His father said, "Son, don't forget what God and I have told you. You're old enough to have your way. I can no longer hold you." The older son felt angry when his father cried that day. "I hate the way he's made you sad by running off this way." His father, though, just sighed and said, "Although I'm sad, I love him. I pray that you'll forgive him too, that God will watch above him." A few weeks later, neighbors came with stories of the son. "He's spending money sinfully. It's shocking what he's done." This made the father hurt inside. He fell upon his knees. "Dear God," he prayed, "talk to my son and make him listen, please." Again for weeks he heard no word, and then he got the news. "Your son has wasted all he had. He's even lost his shoes. He's feeding pigs to earn enough to buy a crust of bread. It looks to us as if your son might just as well be dead." The older brother heard the news and said, "I should be sad, but he is getting what is right for wasting what he had." But once again the father turned to God in prayer, and then, "Oh Lord, please send my boy back home to live with us again. I know that what he's done is wrong, but I just can't forget him. If he would want to come back home, then I would surely let him." The older brother saw this love and heard his father's word. He shook his head and said, "I can't believe what I've just heard. He took your money, ran away, and still you think about him? We've proved that we can run this place and get along without him." For weeks the father stood upon his porch each day and night to see if he could see his son come walking into sight. But after watching for an hour, he'd come inside once more. "Perhaps next time," he said, "I'll see what I'm looking for." At last, far off, he saw someone and cried, "I see my son!" He left the porch, went down the steps, and broke into a run. The boy looked tired, dirty, thin. His clothes were badly torn. His shoes were gone, his hair a mess. His face looked old and worn. The boy knelt down and cried, "I've sinned and wasted what you gave. I don't deserve to be your son. Please treat me like your slave." The father didn't scold his son. Instead, he hugged and kissed him. He ordered clothes and rings be brought, and said how much he'd missed him. He shouted, "Servants, kill a calf, the one that looks just right. Prepare a feast, invite our friends, we'll celebrate tonight." And soon the banquet was prepared, and all sat down to eat. But where the older brother sat, there was an empty seat. The father went outside to where his older son was waiting. The boy said, "Why do you do this for the one you should be hating? He disobeyed. I did your will, yet I got no feast. Why do you celebrate for one who's acted like a beast?" "My son," the father softly said, "I've always had you near. My wealth will all be yours one day. You have my love, don't fear. But now your brother has come home. It's like he's long been dead. He lives again. Please come inside. Don't pout. Rejoice instead." We don't know what that brother did when he heard his father's voice. He might have gotten mad and left, or made some other choice. But just perhaps he may have learned to forgive and love his brother. If so, they all could celebrate, enjoy with one another. So that's the story of the prodigal son. The father forgave him and welcomed him back with the big party and was so glad he was there. But the brother was angry that the father forgave him. Should he have been angry? Or should he have celebrated his brother was back? That's a big question Jesus wanted us to think about. So, that's the story of the prodigal son. I hope you kids have a great week. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.